Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. Over the last few days, I've had something that's been weighing pretty heavy on my mind and on my heart. So I actually wrote some stuff down, and I ask that each and every one of you please listen to this all the way through and just hear what I got to say. So I wrote it, and I basically called it Speak Up or Sound Off. Many of you right now watching this probably know me, but for those who don't, my name is Brian Robinson, former Minnesota Vikings defensive end and avid outdoorsman, especially in the sport of bass fishing. I have a beautiful wife and two lovely kids. Now, before I continue on, I ask you please listen to what I have to say. I'm actually begging you to hear me all the way through. I'm sure all of us have seen by now what has transpired over the past week. Over the last few days, my mind has been confused and my heart has been heavy. I have debated doing this and speaking up, or not saying anything at all and staying out of it for a few days. The problem is, when you speak up, not everybody agrees with you, and you may even disgruntle some people. But the problem with staying in silence is nothing will ever get resolved. People will never know what you stand for. So for me, the decision was to speak up. I don't want to make this a lecture about politics, race, or any of the other things that you're probably thinking this is going to be about. Although I do want to talk about some things that I truly believe need to be said. How I want to go about this is by talking about my experiences through the NFL and the locker room environment. Through my time in college at the University of Texas and playing for 11 years with the Minnesota Vikings, I've had experiences that 99% of the people out there will never have. The people I shared a locker room with at the University of Texas and with the Minnesota Vikings made them the best locker rooms that I think anyone could have been a part of in the NFL and of all sports. We even had some guys come in from other teams and say that our locker room dynamic was something special. I've said for a long time that if people could see how we interact in a NFL locker room and apply that to the real world, that it would be a better place. And I truly believe that. Now, if you've never experienced that, you're probably asking yourself, why do I believe that? Well, here's my answer. In the NFL locker room, we all come from different walks of life, races, ethnicities, different neighborhoods, raised by our families in different ways, different values, and we all take different routes to get there. One thing for sure, though, is that we always had one common goal, and that was to win a Super Bowl. The thing that made our locker room so special in Minnesota and at the University of Texas was that our brotherhood was always about more than winning championships. We also decided that our quality of life was bigger than the game. We shared our life experiences to not only learn from each other, but to grow as individuals so that we could have an impact on our communities and make them a better place. We loved one another as if they were family. We treated each other with respect, even when we didn't always agree on things, and we showed compassion through each other's struggles. All we cared about, no matter what, was that we kept moving forward in a positive direction, and those who lagged behind, we brought them up to speed. So as I have seen, watched, and heard all of the events that have unfolded this past week all across the country, but also in a state that I clearly call my second home, Minnesota, I can't help but feel sadness, disappointment, and even some anger. You see such hatred, violence, and destruction. But at what point do we figure out that fighting fire with fire doesn't solve anything? So as I tried to think of the words to speak to you, I also thought how, as a son of a Houston police officer for 29 years, and the founder of a foundation benefiting law enforcement, but also a brother to many people of color, find the right words to support both and yet not hurt the feelings of another. I can't look at my friends, and some I would even call family, people of color, and say, I understand what they're going through. I can't do that because, simply put, I'm white and I don't have that background. At the same time, I have such a respect for law enforcement, especially my father, and you can't imagine the things they have to go through on a daily basis. The fact of the matter is, we are all living in fear of what our future holds. And if we are going to be able to go home and see our families every day. So I've decided to take a different side. Why do we have to live in a world of fear? The simple answer is we shouldn't. At what point do we as a human race and as Americans break the cycle and quit letting history repeat itself? My experiences through college and the NFL have led me to believe that the aforementioned is the key to success. Love, compassion, and respect are the foundation to solving the problem. We need to love one another as if they were one of our own. I'm a proud Christian, and the word says we are all God's children. So shouldn't we love one another as if they're our own brother or sister? We need to have compassion for each other, and instead of being part of the problem, be part of the solution, understanding that everyone has feelings. And we need to have respect for each other. We may not always agree on everything, but how do we find a common ground so we can move forward and have progress? We need to fight racism, hatred, and violence with love, compassion, and respect. This is the only way we can make this world a better place, not only for us, but more importantly for our children and our children's children. I only have one thing to say politically. To our politicians, at what point do we stop choosing a side? At what point do we stop saying red side versus blue side and instead figure out what is best for our country and its people? And in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I gotta say about that. Now I realize that after all of this, I may have some people that question my motive, wonder why I just didn't stay out of it, and straight up hate on me and disagree with what I have to say. And that's okay. But my question to you is, what are you doing in order to make our world a better place? We cannot be afraid of change or something that is different, because that makes us a coward. Now is the time for us as Americans to stop the division and instead take a stance, make a change, and make our country and our world a better place to live in. I challenge my teammates, NFL brothers, and athletes in general to either share this or speak up as well. I challenge those in the fishing community to do the same. Most of all, I don't ask that you choose a side. What I ask is that we do something today in order to give ourselves an opportunity to show that we can make progress and that we as a human race are one. I hope that each and every one of you that have heard this message all the way through, that you can take something away from this to teach our younger generation that is looking up to us for a lead and direction. Please share this and or make your own positive impact. Thank you for your time and support. I love you all.